You know, there's something oddly fascinating about how people treat their personal lives like a TV drama on social media. Every twist, every turn, every subplot is out there for the world to see. But here's the thing, not every story needs an audience. Sharing too much about your life? It's like leaving your house unlocked and wondering why strangers are poking around your living room. It invites attention, sometimes good, but more often ... Well, let's just say curiosity isn't always kind. When you overshare, you're giving people a front row seat to moments that should be backstage. Your triumphs? Sure, share a little, it's great to celebrate. But your struggles? Not everyone clapping for you wants you to succeed, and not every listening ear is there to support. And let's not forget, oversharing comes with the risk of being misunderstood. People see snippets, fragments, and they create entire narratives based on half-truths. Suddenly, your bad day becomes a scandal, your heartbreak a public opinion poll. Oversharing doesn't just invite opinions, it gives away power. The power to control your own narrative, the power to heal in private, the power to decide who deserves to truly know you. So maybe hold back a little. Protect the parts of your life that don't need an audience. Let mystery work its magic. Not because you're hiding, but because not every treasure belongs on display. Not every story needs an audience. That's the first thing people forget when they start typing out their latest saga for the world to see. It's like everyone thinks their life is a blockbuster movie, and the world is waiting for the next episode. But let me tell you, most people aren't paying attention for the right reasons. Some things are meant to be lived, not narrated. When you constantly feel the need to document every high and low, you're robbing those moments of their true essence. Instead of experiencing them fully, you're busy framing them for an audience that may not even care as much as you think. The best stories? They're the ones you tell to the people who matter, not to a crowd that just wants popcorn entertainment. When everything becomes a performance, you lose the authenticity of the moment. Keep some chapters of your life off the stage, they're better that way. Sharing too much about your life is like leaving your front door wide open and hoping only kind, well-meaning guests walk in. Spoiler alert, that's not how it works. When you put your life on display, you're inviting attention, and not all of it is good. Some people will look at what you share and cheer you on. Others, they'll dissect it, twist it, and use it as material for their next gossip session. And let's not even get started on those who treat your vulnerabilities like a puzzle to crack or a weakness to exploit. Attention isn't always admiration, it can be scrutiny, envy, or even judgment masquerading as interest. You might think you're building connections, but sometimes all you're building is a database for others to study, criticize, or manipulate. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being wise. The more you share, the more you expose. And the more you expose, the more room you leave for the wrong kind of attention to creep in. Celebrate selectively. There's nothing wrong with sharing your wins, your milestones, or the moments that make you proud. In fact, it feels good to have others celebrate with you. But when it comes to your struggles, that's a different story. Not every battle needs to be broadcasted. The world isn't always the safe, supportive place we imagine it to be. Some people will see your vulnerability and offer genuine encouragement, but others, they'll see it as an opportunity. Struggles are personal. They're messy, complicated, and often hard to explain. Sharing them too openly can lead to unsolicited advice, judgment, or worse, a chorus of opinions from people who don't understand your situation but feel entitled to weigh in. And let's be honest, healing is already tough without an audience. When you share your struggles too freely, you risk turning a private journey into a public debate. Not every tough moment needs a microphone sometimes. The most powerful growth happens in silence, away from the spotlight. Be cautious of misinterpretation. When you share pieces of your life, you might think you're being clear, but people will always see what they want to see. Context? Irrelevant. Nuance? Overlooked. They'll take your words, your photos, your posts, and turn them into something entirely different. You might share a vent about a bad day, and suddenly someone thinks your entire life is falling apart. Or you post a photo from a moment of celebration and they assume everything in your world is perfect. People don't always see the full picture, they see the version they create in their heads, which is rarely accurate. Worse, some will take those fragments and twist them into narratives that suit their own agenda. A casual comment becomes a controversy. A vulnerable moment is dissected for entertainment. Your truth, however honest it may be, becomes distorted as it passes through the lens of others' assumptions and projections. Sharing is a gamble. You might be putting your story out there to connect or inspire, but the more you share, the less control you have over how it's perceived. It's not just about what you say, it's about how people choose to hear it. Oversharing can turn your personal life into a public drama faster than you realize. You might think you're just opening up, but to some people it's an invitation to grab popcorn and watch the show. Once you let too many people into the details of your struggles or conflicts, those moments stop being personal. They become entertainment. Every misunderstanding with a friend, every frustration at work, every heartbreak, it all becomes fuel for others to speculate, gossip, or worse, take sides. The problem is, when your life starts resembling a soap opera, you lose the ability to manage the narrative. Strangers and acquaintances begin adding their opinions, amplifying minor issues, and suddenly what should have been a private matter feels like a public spectacle. And the worst part? People don't always stick around to see how it ends. They'll watch the chaos, chime in with their unsolicited advice, and then move on to the next drama. Meanwhile, you're left dealing with the aftermath of having your personal moments turned into a community event. Your life isn't a reality show, and you shouldn't let it become one. Some moments deserve to stay behind the scenes, not aired for a crowd that's just there for the drama. Not everyone who listens to your story wants the best for you. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. When you share too much about your life, you're opening the door to all kinds of people, not just the ones who care, but also the ones who are quietly taking notes. Some people are spectators, watching out of boredom. Others are critics, waiting for a reason to pick apart your choices. And then there are the ones who smile to your face, but secretly relish every stumble, every setback. They're not cheering for you, they're keeping score. It's easy to believe that honesty and openness will earn trust and support, but the reality is, it often just gives the wrong people more information than they deserve. They might use it to undermine you, gossip about you, or worse, use your vulnerabilities against you when it suits them. The thing about oversharing is that it doesn't come with a filter. You can't control who hears your story or how they interpret it. Some people will twist your words, weaponize your struggles, and turn your openness into ammunition. Protecting your personal life isn't about being secretive, it's about being selective. Not everyone listening to you is rooting for your success, and not everyone deserves to know the details of your journey. Oversharing gives away your power, plain and simple. Every detail you put out there is a piece of yourself handed over for others to scrutinize, analyze, or manipulate. The more you share, the less you're in control of your own narrative. When you keep certain things to yourself, you hold the reins. You decide how people perceive you, how much they know, and what version of your story they're allowed to see. But when you lay it all out, unfiltered and unguarded, that control slips right through your fingers. The truth is, not everyone needs to know your innermost thoughts, your struggles, or the reasons behind every decision you make. The more you explain, the more room you leave for others to insert their opinions or even rewrite your story altogether. Think about it, every time you share something deeply personal, you're giving someone else a seat at your table. But not everyone deserves to sit there. Oversharing makes you vulnerable not in a cathartic, healing way, but in a way that exposes you to criticism, judgment, or even manipulation. Keeping some things private isn't about being closed off, it's about maintaining control over what parts of your life belong to you and you alone. Your story, your power, don't hand it over so easily. Healing in private is one of the most underrated forms of self-care. When you go through something difficult, it's tempting to share it with the world, looking for comfort, validation, or just someone to say, "I get it." But the truth is, the world isn't always the best place to heal. When you open up about your pain to everyone, you're not just inviting empathy, you're also inviting opinions. And let's be real, not all of those opinions are helpful. Some will be judgmental, others dismissive, and a few will just be plain wrong. The noise can drown out your own thoughts, making it harder to process what you're going through. Healing requires a quiet space, a space where you can reflect without interference, cry without an audience, and rebuild without feeling the pressure of performing recovery. When you heal in private, you give yourself the freedom to be messy, to make mistakes, and to take your time without anyone watching the clock. Sharing your struggles with a select few who truly care can be helpful, but broadcasting them to the world, that often does more harm than good. Pain isn't content. It's personal, raw, and deserves to be handled with care. The best growth happens away from the spotlight. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting the tender parts of yourself while you put them back together. Some wounds need solitude to heal, not an audience to critique the process. Mystery is powerful. In a world where everything is on display and everyone's life is constantly scrolling in front of you, there's something almost magnetic about keeping parts of yourself to yourself. It's not about being elusive or secretive, but rather about maintaining a sense of intrigue, a space that's uniquely yours. When you share everything, you lose the air of mystery that makes people curious, that makes them want to know more. But when you hold back even just a little, you create a subtle pull. People begin to wonder, to ask questions without even realizing it. They start valuing your presence more. There's power in not oversharing. It's not manipulation, it's self-respect. You don't have to tell everyone every detail of your life to be understood or valued. The right people will respect the boundaries you set, and the wrong people will move on to someone else who's willing to overshare. In mystery, there's also freedom. You get to decide what people know about you and when they know it. You get to curate your own story, presenting it on your terms, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting the pieces of yourself that matter. Sometimes leaving a little to the imagination is the best way to show who you truly are. It's a subtle art of knowing that not everything needs to be explained, not everything needs to be revealed. Mystery isn't just attractive, it's empowering. Boundaries are essential. They aren't just some trendy buzzword or something therapists talk about in their sessions. They're the foundation of your emotional well-being. Without them, you're like an open book, but not in the way you might think. You're just handing out chapters to anyone who asks, with no filter and no protection. When you don't have boundaries, you end up feeling exposed. Every detail of your life becomes public property for anyone to pick apart. And the worst part, the people who don't respect your boundaries are often the ones who can hurt you the most. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out, it's about deciding who gets to see the real you. It's about protecting your energy, your thoughts, your time. It's knowing that you don't owe everyone an explanation for your choices, your feelings, or the way you choose to live your life. Boundaries also give you space to breathe. They allow you to exist without the weight of constantly explaining yourself or justifying your every move. You have the right to say, this part of me is not for public consumption. And the right to keep some pieces of your life sacred, safe, and untouched. The stronger your boundaries, the more you can thrive in a world that often wants to consume you. They're not walls, they're lines in the sand, ones you get to draw and redraw as needed. You define what's yours and no one else gets to decide that for you. In a world where oversharing has become the norm, it's crucial to remember that not every part of your life needs to be seen or commented on. Protecting your personal space is a form of strength, not secrecy. Whether it's controlling the narrative, guarding your privacy, or simply preserving your energy, boundaries aren't just helpful, they're necessary. By celebrating selectively, keeping some things private, and understanding that not everyone who listens has your best interest at heart, you reclaim control over your life. You protect your power, avoid becoming the subject of unnecessary drama, and create the space to heal without outside influence. In a world that thrives on visibility, Don't underestimate the strength of keeping some things to yourself. Mystery isn't a weakness, it's a tool, a way to keep people guessing and maintain your autonomy. And boundaries? They're not just lines in the sand, they're your shield, your way of saying, this is where I stand and this is what I choose to share. You don't need to give everything away to be understood. Your life, your story, your peace, it's yours to protect.